As the tornado of media speculation over the Skripals continues to swirl, it's now being reported that Sergei and Yulia are being offered new identities by US intelligence. That's as both the former Russian double agent and his daughter appear to be recovering. That follows that nerve agent attack last month in the English city of Salisbury. A family member, however, believes there would be no reason for Yulia to abandon her home in Moscow. Victoria Skripal spoke exclusively to the Rupert video agency after she was denied a visa to the UK.
I ask the UK and you personally to reconsider the decision to refuse my visa. They are scared that I will find out something more, that Yulia will tell me something. Yes, they try to manipulate me. Not the Kremlin, but MI5. At first, I was happy that Yulia called, but it was clear that she wasn't speaking her own words. She was being prompted. You can't hear it in the recording, but at the start, she was told, yes, you can talk, which meant that she was being guided.
Meanwhile, the British Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson has branded the opposition Labour Party leader, the Kremlin's useful idiot. That's after Jeremy Corbyn refused to blame Russia outright for the poisoning. Anisha Sethi takes a closer look at the Foreign Secretary's recent statements.
Boris Johnson's been caught out a fair few times in his role as British Foreign Secretary, sometimes doing the wrong thing, other times saying the wrong thing, and this time his blunders have taken the form of the written word. After a series of unfortunate events at the UK Foreign Office, having to delete their old tweets and post new ones, Boris Johnson felt it was time to get the facts in the Skripal's case straight, once and for all. Boris writes that Britain's Porton Downs chemical weapons lab that identified the substance used had been developed by Moscow. Well, we remember the Porton Down interview slightly differently.
We have not verified the precise source.
You have not been able to establish that this was made in Russia.
As I said, it's our job to provide, the scientific evidence that identifies what the particular nerve agent is.
So to be clear, you're not able at Porton Down to say where it is from?
We haven't yet been able to do that.
Within the last decade, Russia has investigated ways of delivering nerve agents, probably for assassination, and as part of this program has produced and stockpiled small quantities of Novichok.
Hold your horses. The Organisation for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons has confirmed the destruction of all chemical weapons in Russia. Actually, the elimination of weapons at the last facility to hold such chemicals was in fact acknowledged by the international watchdog last year. Boris writes that Russia has an obvious motive for targeting Sergei Skripal. Well, it appears this obvious motive has zero value. Russia notes the double agent wasn't of any importance after moving to the UK as part of a spy swap.
He was handed in to Britain as a result of exchange. So why should Russia hand in a man that is of any importance or that is of any value? It's unimaginable.
Why not link the death of one spy to another? That seems to be the firm favourite for Boris.
The fate of Alexander Litvinenko, murdered in London in 2006, demonstrates the Kremlin's willingness to kill someone in this country. The Russian Duma has actually passed a law that allows the assassination of extremists overseas.
First of all, it's never been proved Moscow was behind Litvinenko's death. And secondly, former spies are not exactly extremists. But to follow Boris's logic, the Kremlin is simply willing to kill someone in Britain. After listing these facts, Boris comes to the same old conclusion, that only the Russian state has the means, motive and the records to carry out this crime. A lengthy and thorough investigation carried out by the best Scotland Yard detectives, military and chemical experts. Oh wait, no, by the man becoming rather notorious for his gaffes, Boris Johnson.
We've also spoken to James Torr, a chemical weapons expert. He believes it's extremely easy to make nerve agents if the structure of the chemical compound is known.
It is not possible to know where a nerve agent has been produced. Whether it's in one country or another, it's not possible to identify that to a certain country. There's many well-published formulas of nerve agents, and the structures are known, and the toxicity profiles are known. So many people can make nerve agents. They know what structures to go toward. Well, the only way you could get the exact source is if the nerve agent were not very pure. So if it were not very pure, and you found at a particular site the same impurities in the sample as you're finding it some other location, then you could say there's a high probability it came from that source. But unless you've had samples like that, it's hard. And if it's made by a nation state that knows what they're doing and the purity is there, then you don't have any impurities to mark against. It would be very hard to name it to a specific location or a particular laboratory.